Hi, I imported your workflow. Hot collection template is the right choice to find the related records. I'm unfamiliar with this query. Related subassets contains this. This is maybe the GUID of the filter you're referencing to later in the workflow. Could be. What I usually did is I said related subassets has value, which also worked for me, but this narrows it down probably more nicely. I'm very happy to see that you're using global parameters to store stuff like this, and this makes it much more easy to read afterwards. When you come back, you know where to change important stuff. And then so it's correct that if you test if this is the first item of the workflow, this is the proper test to initialize your file. So yes, it's a good idea here, store file as path. I don't know if you use this further down the road, but you could just have copied this and put this right inside here immediately. Then you didn't need the additional text stored, but that doesn't matter. Delete if exists, yes. If you don't make the file names dynamic with a date in it, it's better to delete the previous one. Storing the header, comma separated file, okay, that's fine that you do this like this. And then write the header to the text file. Yes, that's fine too. Here, as I mentioned in my previous mail, if you want to add a carriage return at the end or a carriage return line feed, like traditional Windows files have, you can specify it like this and it will automatically populate that. And then you write that to the text file, which is perfect. What is strange is that what does this workflow do? It's a hot collection workflow, so it launches a query, and then for every record that it finds, it executes this script, which means that record number 1, it comes in here and you say test if last item, and with test if last item you don't do anything. With the first item it will go in here, but the last item will not be processed. So say that you have 5 records as a result, because it's the 5th record will never be processed, because here you do a test else on is last item. Well, then last item of loop, then yeah, this will never be processed. So I'm not sure why you are putting this in here like this. Then here you do a query, process records in collection, but you are already processing the records in collection, so you're making the same mistake you did before. This script executes every record, is executed for every record that is the result of this query in this catalog. So there is no need once again to process them, and so you're going over the same result that is already being looped over. So this makes no sense here. Okay, you store the file name. I don't know why you call it master asset, because it's actually the slave assets that you are processing. You are processing all records where the related assets have this kind of relationship. So I'm a little bit yeah, it's a little bit strange. So you need to find the rated subassets, and then subasset per subasset you need to do this query, and this query is good. So here it's good that you do, but you should not do that on the hot master, but on the hot. And so you should lose this level. You should do it like this. Make sure if you cut and paste that they're all from the same level. You cannot cut and paste stuff that is from a different level, so all you have to do is here cut this. And honestly, I don't know why you are doing this if first and if last, so I'm going to do simply a paste, and then you are going to export what, I don't know yet, so I'll have a look in a second, but this is processing for this file that you found the related assets, and it's in this environment that you should do your thing. Then workflow progress, it says if last item of flow. What are you doing here again with the last item of flow? Nothing. So again here, for some reason you do a test on the last item, which was using the previous so I'm not sure why again you are adding that. So here inside, I don't understand the reason why you would have last item of process. Maybe it's because you want to add a character return, if but according to the format you're using here, you're saying, wait, where am I? Here. According to this, you are going to output just before the asset name and the related assets. So then I can understand that you want the last item of a certain loop, but that last item of a certain loop is not this one. So I don't know if you want to add a character return at the end. Well, just after processing the related, what comes out, you are in the last just after the last record. So I think it's probably best to cut this as well. And let's close this and just put it here, paste, and then say OK. When you do cut and paste, it's always a good idea to clean it up, certainly if there are multiple levels. So this doesn't have anything anymore, so I'm gonna cut. I don't need this, and I'm cutting. Okay, so process related records, and what are we doing in here? Again, last ref didn't have anything. This doesn't have anything anymore, so remove, cut. So here I'm processing. Now find related assets. The only thing we have to be careful about is that, oh, first of all, this is not the hot master, but this is hot. Okay. I think, and that's something I need to test, that it might be a good idea to open a second catalog collection and use that in that second catalog collection, find the related assets for a particular asset, for a particular file. Because since this is doing a search in the catalog that you are in, it might have influence on the other search. But I'm not 100% sure, so let's first try it like this. So here, store field, not the but the hot master no longer exists. Store asset name, carriage return. So here you are storing a carriage return. Oh yeah, that's not necessary here. You store the master asset, so that's the master asset file name. That's good, no problem, and a comma. It's even safer also to put it between quotes, because fields can have annoying things in it that could maybe the field can have a comma in it, and then already it would break your file. So we're storing the master asset name here, and then we're writing the master asset name, which is good. Now we're going to process the related assets, and so here we're the related assets are based on the hot record, and it's called the referenced record, and then here referenced record, we're asking for the asset name and storing it here. That's good. And then here we're storing the reference asset name with a comma, which is good. And then we are writing this to file. So what I would suggest is, well, at this point you need a carriage return. So at this point what you could do is here just store a field. Let's call it paste. Okay, good. Paste like that. We go in here and we can just call it carriage return line feed like that, and I'm just going to call it carriage return line feed without the special characters, and just like that. And why am I doing that? Well, we have to do this several times, and then we have in one place the description of the separator, and of course here yeah, so let's do this. Store next. Store header file. Wait, yeah, that's fine. And then write the header file. Okay, and then we could write the carriage return once again. So we could say copy paste. It's not important that it's that different, but I just, this way you have your separator. Always, if you change your separator at the top of your file, it will do that properly for every file. So here, and I'm gonna create a second one, copy paste, and I'm gonna call it, and we're gonna put a quote here, and I'm gonna call it quote. Good. So what happens is that here when we are and another thing is that we copy paste, and we can call this the comma, and we call this the separator. Why am I doing this? Because this way you are, so this is the column separator. Call separator equals comma, and here we are going to call this row separator. Row separator. If you ever want to change your export file to semicolon delimited or etc., then all you have to do is change it here in the first 2 lines, and you have a tab limited text or a semicolon separated file, etc. So what we are doing here is we're not writing it like this. What we do is we say that we want here, and let me put it here, hash. I'm going to take the row, not the quote. Sometimes you don't want those quotes, so x v. So you could also lose them like that, and then instead of this we have the column, the col separator, the column separator. Okay, and then here you have quote again, like that. You see, and now here we can add the row separator. Let's hope that I didn't lose all that. Yeah, okay. You see, this is completely dynamic now, and then we don't need this second line. Here we're just writing that header, and that header is nicely constructed. Here is nicely constructed. Come on, is nicely constructed from that. So here again, same thing here. Just to clean up a little bit, X, cancel, and here we can just say I want it here. That saves you also that instruction. And then, okay, so the header is written here. Then we are getting the master record, the asset name for the first row, and then here we, yeah, and you could define those here as well. So that's another option that you have. Sorry to interrupt or to jump from one thing to another. So here what I'm doing is I'm storing. So yes, I'm doing the quote. Oh, that was not good. Need to have the quote back. And the quote. There's the quote. That X V, and then here V, and then here V. Here we have not the quote but the column separator. Okay, and that's good, and we're writing that information. That's good. And then here, one thing we shouldn't forget, the second column starts. So in the second column we're starting again with a quote. Then, because you defined that you have two columns, so it has to start and end with a quote, which means that at the end, after this, we will be storing. We will use these two and paste, and afterwards we will just say at the end. So here we will need a quote, and we will need a row separator, just like that. And then we call that end of line. You see, like this. Okay. And now we can write here the end of line. End of line. And now, final thing is here to check the field values. So I'm storing the related asset name. I'm storing it with a comma. We're not doing a comma because, well, you could use a comma here as well, but then you will have inside your field a comma as a separator. You can do it. I'm just for the sake of safety, I'm going to do it twice. So I'm going to call this quote 2. I'm going to call this related separator. Then you can choose afterwards what you are going to use. The only problem is what you are doing here is you're writing a comma anyway. Even the last element will have a comma. So that's a little bit annoying. But let's keep it like that for now. So here, duplicate, copy, paste, and I'm calling this the related separator. And for now you can use your comma as you like. Good. So we created here that text, which is fine, and then we're writing that text, which is fine. And we repeat that for all related, and when the all related of that record is done, then we're putting closing the quote and closing the line. So that should work fine. Another way of doing this is, if you want to lose that final quote, is to put the contents of what you want in a variable. You could say, okay, for every loop I'm going to use a stored parameter, copy, paste, and then in here I'm going to say I'm starting with this of relations. I'm saying relations equals nothing. And then in here, instead of writing the text, I can just say, and instead I can just do my store text like this. I can say here, and I can say that I want the current value. The current value. Okay, and then we go for relations. So we always take the current value. We put the new value, comma, the current value. That way the last record is, so that way if it's empty you will have so here relations plus equals like that, just to comment your workflow. And then you don't write it, and you say cut, or yeah. And when the loop is done, then we do a little trick on the text. I can say new, and I can say store text. So I need to have text, and I need a sub part of the text. Okay, and what I'm going to say is maybe it's even easier to do last left, yes, new conditional text, and then store last is above, last left part of text. What are we saying? Which variable? Well, we want the relations, and I want to search for the comma, and I'm going to put it again in relations. Oh, and I'm saying last left, so it takes the left part after the last comma. So since we have a comma at the end that has no value, then it will return relations like that. So relations is initialized before we start processing them. Then we add the text to the relations field with the asset name, comma, the relations, and finally when it's done we store the last left, and of course we need to write this. So here the text I'm going to write is the last left, sorry, the relations that I'm going to pick up. So I'm picking up, oh, that's too far, relations here, X, and I'm putting this here. which means that now we nicely have everything we need, and that is nicely written to the file. So this is, I think, what you need to do. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll export the workflow and mail it to you. Bye.